my name is Katie and I created a style system called Fantastical Beauty. I recently turned 40 and was reflecting on my life up to this point, and I had a couple of ideas of style advice that I would give to myself if I could go back and give myself style advice. On the whole, I don't have regrets, and I think that I think that growth has to happen with time and patience. I don't know that I could take advice from my future self, and I don't know that anybody else could take advice from their future selves either. There's so much that has to be just learned by living. But I do have a couple of things that I would try to tell my younger self. The first one is to have a plan. And it's a specific kind of plan that has to touch base with reality at the beginning of the plan and at the end of the plan. Because in my 20s and also 30s, I felt like I always had a plan for my shopping and for my style, my wardrobe, my looks. But the plan changed really frequently and it wasn't always in touch with reality. So to be in touch with reality at the beginning, it needs to be coming from a lifestyle needs place, which can still be done in a way that's fun. And that's really important too. I think I used to think of it as I can have fun things that people consider occasion wear, or I can wear boring things that people say are basics and I hate to shop for them and it's not fun. I think your plan has to it has to include fun. You have to plan the fun into the day wear. I would love to have that have had that idea in my head at 20. And then also, as part of this plan, once the joyful needs of daily life are met, then any shopping done can be way out there, wacky stuff if you want, or saved for future needful purchases, as long as you stay on budget. So the budget is part of the plan as well, and just ticking some of those basic structures, making sure needs are met, making sure the needs that are met are done in a way that's joyful and fun, and then sticking to the budget for that and beyond that. That's the kind of plan that I needed, not the plans that I made for myself back then. The second piece of advice I would have for myself is not to buy imperfect things. I had so much clutter of clothing. I had to declutter repeatedly, and the things that I decluttered most, and still do, even at a much slower rate to this day, are things that I bought because they were almost perfect. I bought them and I kept them because I liked the color and I liked the cut, but I hated the fabric or some other combination of those things and other aspects of the clothing. You have to hold out. I wish I had held out for items that ticked all of the boxes. A color that's beautiful, a fabric that's beautiful, a cut that's beautiful, and that doesn't have known imperfections built in where I think, oh, well, I'll buy it and I'll keep it and then I'll fix this one aspect of it. I'll try over dyeing it. I'll take it to a tailor. I'll do X, Y, and Z and then it will be perfect. I don't know why, but those things never work out. If there's a known imperfection or like a box that's not being ticked, I wish I hadn't bought it. And I hope that I continue to do my best to not buy imperfect things, to hold out for things that are really just great all around and that work for my needs and for the plan that I have. Because you can have things that are both beautiful and that you use constantly and that were on budget and that actually do it all. And buying things that don't do it all, that aren't quite right, that adds up to a lot of money and a lot of unworn clothing. And then it clutters your closet and you're like, I have a closet full of clothes and there's nothing I want to wear. Well, that's part of why. It's because there are things in there that shouldn't be in there, that never should have been purchased, that shouldn't have been kept, and that the reason why they're not being worn needs to be identified, and then gotten them out of the house and trying to be mindful of not repeating the mistake in the future. It's not aiming for a 100% success rate with purchases. I just don't think that's possible. I think sometimes you believe something to tick all the boxes, and then in wearing it, you realize that actually there's an aspect of it that's not working for you. I think that that's normal. But what I wouldn't want myself to repeat, that I would tell my younger self, is not to keep things with known imperfections, known boxes left unticked, things that are almost right. I got so excited about certain aspects, like the perfect shade of pink or whatever, and then overlooked the things I didn't like about it. And I think if you know you dislike something about it, don't buy it. And my third and last piece of advice to my younger self would be that you can find things that are joyful that you can wear in your everyday life. This is back to it doesn't have to be occasion wear to spark joy. And that joy is a muscle that you can grow. I didn't feel joy sparking with like most of my clothes, and maybe a couple occasion wear pieces. And I just thought that it wasn't possible for me for a really long time, that my version of joy was just function. And that's fine, but but I've since learned that it very much, I can feel joy with all sorts of different kinds of clothing pieces, and that it's like a little muscle that needs to be nurtured if you don't have it naturally. Some people have it like in abundance and they need help reining it in. I didn't have it. I think I tend to be an analytical person, and I can get disconnected from my emotions and from the way I feel about things. And connecting with your feelings and growing and nurturing the experience of joy for daily clothing, for any clothing, that's something that I would have appreciated knowing I could do, that I did have in me, and then having some advice about how to begin doing that. And I think a key piece for me would have been also to know that the things that I enjoy wearing, or that I enjoy, let's not say wearing, let's just say the things that I enjoy, but that I could wear, like it's got to tick a reality box. The things that I enjoy from that are naturally expressing something outward, instead of having to, because I get really in my head about things. And so instead what I was doing was like the reverse of that, trying to figure out how I wanted to appear, what aspects of myself I wanted people to be reading from my visual output, and then trying to construct and choose items based on that goal, or that picture that I wanted to paint, the picture that I wanted to share with the world. And I think that that's a valid approach, but it wasn't working for me. And what works better is feeling joy and then sharing it by wearing the thing that makes me feel joyful. And for me, it's, again, the color. It's got to be the right shade, like spot on. And then the fabric and the way that clothing, colors and fabrics and prints and all of that pair together in interesting ways. So taking the person, the body, completely out of it and focusing on what the fabrics are doing together, what the shoe shape is adding, and like removing the self from it and finding the joy in the colors more like visually, artistically, than some kind of a deep personal identity expression. And I think that that's also a natural development, or like I think that needing to express identity is a natural part of teens and 20s. And that's part of why people in their teens and 20s dress in, frankly, more interesting ways than most people do beyond those points. But I would just tell myself not to discount personal joy and letting that push outward rather than trying to construct something from the out in. That even just having a conversation back and forth would get me closer to my goals than being too much in my head about it and not at all in my heart. Really learning to support the heart and the emotions of things, of the joy of clothing, of the joy of getting dressed and pairing different things together, and then letting that say about me what it will. And really, those are the only 3 pieces of advice I have for my younger self for clothing. I think that they work together. I think that you could tease out more than 3 from what I'm calling 3. But for me, those are sort of the 3 big points that I would want to make to my younger self and wish her the best. Do you think you'd be able to take advice from your future self? What sort of advice do you think she'd have for you? That's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next Monday.